Hey there, Jorge here with Avalos Cloud Native and Nexus Technologies. This is part two, second video for our training or our course for Get, totally free here on YouTube. So, what are we doing this? Personal development, new skills for a lot of people. Um, your resume, your front page, right? 2024 is the time for creators, for innovators, time for you to step up and step out from competition, right? There's a lot of competition out there. So again, this is video number two for the playlist that we got for Git. um I think that I'm gonna have a lot of different playlists for many things. I'm gonna show you the ones that I have created so far, and we got one for Git, introduction, GitLab, React programming, TypeScript, JavaScript programming, Solidity, Golang, observability, networking, hypervisor, smart contracts, blockchain, AI. Okay, so let's keep going with our video number two for Get. So if I click in here, you can see that there is an introduction, like Get, the history, something simple, nothing too crazy, but it helps out. Okay. So let's continue talking about Git. So we know that Git was created by Linus. We know that GitHub was basically the front page, the user interface for people to interact with, uh, with the backend, right? So they created, they took the code, the software that basically Linux created for his own company or whatever he was doing. And these people just made it beautiful and friendly, and they cash out $7.5 million. So I'm going to minimize this over here. Let's put it really small. And now let's keep talking about different topics. So there is a remote repository, right? So let's put this one in orange over here. So this one we're going to call here backend, backend, and we're going to call it GitHub, right? These are the servers that they actually storage the code for you on the GitHub servers, okay? We call that the backend, right? And the front end uh, is basically the web page you interact with. You can also use the CLI or terminal to interact with the backend terminal. Let's put here local computer, your computer. So from your computer, basically you can use the CLI, right? Or the command line interface. And from here, you can interact with your code, submit it, and everything else. I believe there is also like a desktop version. So you can open the open GitHub. Actually, I should do that right here. Let's try to do that. I'm gonna download that, and they have like basically an application that you can interact with that, and you can pull code from there too, and much more. So let's. I haven't used this one in like long time. Most people use the CLI or the command line interface. So let's execute this. It's a MSI file. There you go. It's coming along. It's installing. So I don't know how many people use the GitHub desktop version. That's how you call it. There is a desktop version. You can use the CLI or the command line interface, or you can just interact with this with the graphical user interface, which is like this. This is the graphical user interface or web page. So let's see what's going on over here. Sign in. I had to sign in. And let me see how that works. Continue. And that's it. I'm going to authorize the desktop application to have access to my account. right? Apparently there's an email in there. I'm going to use my own. And that's it. So find your repositories. I can see my own in here, where when I was doing smart contracts and all that. I can clone repository from the internet. I can create a new repository. And whatever you do in here, you know that it is interacting with this, but the back end, okay? Not the front end. The front end is just like for you to play with. All right, so let's go back to the screen over here. There is remote repository, which is the backend servers, right? And let's expand this one a little bit like that. And there is also local. Let's make this one blue. Local repo. Okay. So we're talking about GitHub remote repository, which is the backend, the servers behind GitHub, and the local repo. Guess who it is? That's you. That's you when you're coding. That's your computer. So when you are basically coding or you're whatever you're doing on the computer, because it doesn't have to be a code, it doesn't have to be programming, it could be your resume, it could be your cover letter, it could be anything you can think of. You can just put it there on the in the repository from GitHub, right? So once you create a code in your local repository, you will submit it or commit it. You will commit this code to the remote repository, right? Through the CLI, most likely, or whatever way you like. The truth is that this local repo, right? Once you are coding in here, right? There is a process. There is a process that goes from here, from the local to the repo. There is a process that it happens, and you're gonna learn all these commands and everything else. So what happened once you have your local repository? You have a code, right? So there is basically these three stages. Three stages. Three steps. There's three steps before you commit a code to the remote repo. Okay. So we're talking about the local repo over here. There's three steps. So what do you do first? So let's say you're working on a code. The moment you create that code, most likely you are on the stage area, right? You're in the stage area where you're just playing with the code. You're making a lot of changes. So you're just like playing with, and then you're not actually. This is actually wrong. The first stage is the working area. You're working on the code, right? You're constantly making changes. You're constantly removing code, adding code, removing code, adding code. So you're in the working area. Okay, that's a step number one. So step one, you're working on the working area, kinda. Okay. And now you're gonna move to you're gonna move that code, right? The first code that you basically say, okay, I think this code is good. Now you're gonna move it into the stage area, right? Between your command line interface or whatever Visual Studio Code, whatever you're doing, whatever, right? And now we're gonna call this one step two. Okay. So now you're moving the code from you're on the local repository, which is your computer, and then you're working on the initial code, which is the working area, and then you're gonna move that code into the stage area, right? Because it's almost like you're almost sure that that code is going well. So maybe the stage area is when your supervisor, your boss, your coworker will come and see it. You don't want them to see any code in the working area yet. You wanted to check your code on the staging area. Or maybe, depending on the process, every company has different processes, right? Or maybe you're gonna move that, then you move that code into the commit area, which is step number three. Okay. So Now, all depending on your company, your processes. Every company is different. The software development life cycle is different for a lot of different companies. Even though there is standards and there is a lot of books for that, like the ISC square, ISC, everyone knows the ISC. I'll show you here. ISC is they actually have a certification for this. So if you check, the ISC is one of the biggest consortium for cybersecurity out there. Okay, so if you click here certifications, just look the one for the software development lifecycle. What is it? Right here, secure software development. So this is a certification that you can get to, and you don't need to you can challenge this exam. You don't have to wait 5 or 10 years. Anyone can book this exam. I don't know if you know about Pearson. Pearson here, but you can come over here and you can book exams with many different vendors. You don't need to go to school these days because depending on what you're doing too, or what you're teaching or what you're learning, right? The truth is that you can come over here and find, let's say, I'm gonna type here ISC. Right here. Here they are. So you can type ISC. You see how I move into something else while I'm trying to explain you something? Because they all connect, they all relate, right? It's like the nexus. Nexus is binding together. We're binding things together. So this certification is about the software development life cycle. Anyways, so with Pearson, you basically you book your exam. Okay, so we are. Oh, what is it? I thought it was there. Pearson. Oh, it took me to the main side. So yeah, in here with Pearson, you book the exams. Okay, and you can challenge the exam and get certified as a software development lifecycle person. Like you're the expert. You know the whole process. So every company has different processes, like I was saying before. And let's open the Jamboard here. So maybe your boss, your supervisor, they check the code when you are on step 3 before you commit it. Step 2 in the stage area. Maybe they want to check every week while you are in the working area. Maybe they know that the code is going to take 3 months by the time you're ready. And for 2 months, no, maybe they check every Friday. They check the working area. Maybe every Friday they check the stage area and see who is ready to approve that code. Are you maybe there's an approval process that happens every week or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. The truth is that you are still in your local repo. Maybe they may do remote stop. They may, I don't know what they do, but there is systems for that too, where they can have visibility to everything that the developers are doing. Okay, so let me see for how long this video is. Already 13 minutes. Is pretty good. So what did we do today? We show you that there is a local repo, which is basically your computer, and there is 3 different steps before you submit that code to the remote repository, which is basically the backend servers from GitHub, right? How do you interact with the GitHub? With the GitHub desktop application that I show you, right? With the CLI, the command line interface. In this case, we're using Windows or the terminal. There's the 3 steps. You already know that. You know the history about Git. You know the history about GitHub. You know the people who create them. And I guess the next step will be we just need to start maybe install Git. Right? We're gonna show you that. But I'm not gonna do it on my Windows computer because this is my personal computer, and I try not to do any coding in there. That's why I have servers. I have you see this IP here is a local IP here, home, which I have a server with 24 CPUs and 64 RAM. And I have many labs in here, many different labs which I play with. And I can leverage my skills and deploy blockchains, smart contracts, anything I want. Practice, get a lab, get Kubernetes, cluster stuff. Who knows? Anything you like. So I'm gonna use this machine here, which you will see here in a second, is a Ubuntu Server 2204 long-term support, or LTS. And I did install it, a GUI for this server, because originally it was a server with no graphical user interface. So I took my time to install a GUI for this Ubuntu server. And here I'm going to log in. I'm going to log in pretty soon here. And this server that you're seeing here, if I do, let me open the terminal here. I actually like this GUI, or the background of this Ubuntu server. It's actually lagging a little bit here. It's not opening, but that's okay. The truth is that this clone Ubuntu Jorge server, this server you're seeing here, is the same one that I'm trying to, that I did remote desktop from my Windows computer to a Linux computer. In this case, it's Ubuntu. And then another video comment. So we're going to install Git so we can interact with GitHub. All right. Thank you very much. Please don't forget to subscribe. We are going to build you to be a cloud native person. We're going to build you to be an entrepreneur. We're going to create applications. We're going to create servers, networks, security operation centers, and much, much more. And most importantly, right, you have the option to talk to me, where I could be doing an interview for you to help you to do an assessment for to help you discover what is that like, right? Maybe you never thought about something that I may tell you, and we go from there. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know if you want to be part of this dojo. This is for people who actually wants to work, and don't close the doors. Try it, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. Have a good day. Bye.